Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into how to build the ultimate defense for your business, a really resilient multi-cloud disaster recovery plan. Let's just get one thing straight right from the start. Things are gonna break. Whether it's a big outage, a cyber attack, or even a natural disaster, disruptions are not a matter of if, they're a matter of when. It's a simple truth. Systems will fail. And when they do, oh man, the impact is huge. We're not just talking about a little technical glitch here. Every single minute of downtime is costing you money. It's chipping away at the trust you've worked so hard to build with your customers, and it can even land you in hot water with compliance penalties, throwing your entire operation into total chaos. So that's the big question, isn't it? How can your business not just survive these things, but actually stay strong and keep running right through them when they hit? Well, the answer lies in this really powerful strategy called multi-cloud disaster recovery. I want you to think of it like a high-tech safety net, a modern defense system that's designed to shield your business from all that unexpected stuff. So what is it really? Well, instead of putting all your eggs in one basket with just one cloud provider, multi-cloud DR means you purposefully spread your critical systems across a few of them. This whole approach gets rid of those single points of failure by building in some serious redundancy. So if one cloud has a bad day, your business, it doesn't even flinch. And the advantages here? They're massive. You get that amazing redundancy, of course, but you also get way faster recovery times and just incredible flexibility. You're not locked into one vendor anymore. You can spread your services out all over the world to protect against regional problems, and you can even save money by picking and choosing the best services from each provider. It's like building your own all-star team. Okay, but let's be real. It's not a silver bullet. A multi-cloud strategy brings its own set of challenges. It definitely adds complexity. I mean, you're managing multiple environments now. That can lead to higher costs for storage, it makes your security attack surface a bit bigger, and you absolutely need a team with specialized skills across all these different clouds. It's a trade-off, you know? Resilience versus operational complexity. All right, so how do we actually build this thing? Well, a really solid plan starts with getting your head around two critical concepts. These are the absolute foundation of your whole strategy. First up, you've got your recovery time objective, or RTO. This one is all about the clock. Think of it like a stopwatch. It's the maximum amount of time your business can handle a specific system being down. Are we talking minutes? Hours? This is your hard deadline for getting back online. And number two is the recovery point objective, RPO for short. Now, this one is all about your data. It defines the absolute maximum amount of data measured in time that you're willing to lose. Is it okay to lose the last 5 minutes of transactions, or does it need to be zero, like nothing at all? This is what tells you how often you need to be backing things up. And this is where it all clicks into place. RTO is about the clock, how fast you recover. RPO is about your data, how fresh is it? So for example, a supercritical financial trading app, it might need an RTO of 5 minutes and an RPO of 0 seconds. No data loss is okay. But say an internal company blog, that could probably handle an RTO of a few hours. And this right here, this is your blueprint, your playbook. It's a 5-step process. First, you assess what you need and define those RTOs and RPOs. Second, you map out how everything connects so you can bring it back online in the right order. Third, you protect your data. Fourth, you automate the entire recovery process. And last but definitely not least, you test, and test again. Now, a huge part of that protect step is deciding how you're going to copy your data. With synchronous replication, every single transaction has to be confirmed on your backup before it's considered done. This gets you zero data loss, perfect for those big deal financial apps, but it can slow things down. Asynchronous is the opposite. It's faster and cheaper, sending data over in little batches, but it does come with a small risk of data loss, so it's better for things that aren't quite as critical. Okay, so you've got this amazing plan written down. That's great, but a plan on paper isn't enough, not even close. To make this thing really work, you have to turn that plan into action, and you do that with automation. This is where the magic really happens. Automation takes what would be a chaotic, stressful, manual scramble and turns it into a smooth, predictable, and reliable process. It cuts down on human error, it makes sure everything happens the same way every time, and it is absolutely essential if you want to meet those tough RTOs you set earlier. And the great news is, you don't have to build all this from scratch. There's a whole world of tools out there to help. You've got infrastructure as code tools like Terraform to define your recovery environment. You can use the cloud's own services like AWS Backup, or you can go with powerful third-party platforms like Veeam. There are even specialized tools like Valero just for Kubernetes. But listen, all the fancy tools in the world won't save you if your people don't know what to do. Your team is the most critical piece of this puzzle. You need clear documentation, roles that are perfectly defined, and practical playbooks that tell people exactly what to do when a crisis hits, especially for those moments when you just can't avoid manual intervention. And that brings us to the final, and honestly, maybe the most important part of this whole thing, making sure your plan actually works when it matters most. The best way to think about this is like a fire drill. You don't just write an evacuation plan and stick it on the wall and hope for the best, right? You practice it. The exact same idea applies here. Regular drills turn a document into a battle-tested process your team can execute with confidence, even when things are incredibly stressful. And there are lots of different ways to practice. You can start small with tabletop exercises, which are basically just guided conversations about what you do. Then you can move up to partial failover tests on specific systems. Eventually, you can run a full-scale test that simulates a complete outage. And for the ultimate test of readiness, you can even run surprise drills. You know, this quote from our source material just hits the nail on the head. A plan is just a theory. Testing is where you prove it works in the real world. It's totally non-negotiable for any organization that's serious about being resilient. So let's just start with a reality check that a lot of businesses got hit with recently. When a major cloud provider has a big outage, it's not just some technical glitch. No, it's an event that can stop your business dead in its tracks. And it reminds us of one simple truth. The cloud is not invincible. And you know, that realization has set off a huge shift in the industry. We're not just talking about a hunch here. The data shows that a massive majority, a whopping 87% of companies, are now actively making plans to stop relying on just one single provider. They are definitely looking for a better way. Okay, so if putting all of your eggs in one basket is turning out to be way too risky, what's the answer? Well, it seems like the entire industry is starting to rally around this idea called multi-cloud. So what is this multi-cloud thing anyway? Well, at its heart, the idea is actually pretty simple. Instead of putting all your trust in one provider, you use the services from two or more. You know, mixing and matching from places like AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud to run your business. But here's the thing. This strategy is so much more than just a backup plan. It's a really strategic move. It gives you the power to handle outages, for sure, but it also frees you from getting locked into one vendor's world. It lets you pick and choose the coolest, most innovative tools from each platform. And at the end of the day, it builds real, genuine resilience right into the DNA of your business. Okay, so you signed up for a couple of cloud providers. You're safe now, right? Well, not so fast. Just having the accounts isn't enough to protect you. To be truly resilient, you need a detailed playbook, a concrete plan for exactly what you're going to do when things go sideways. And the foundation of any good disaster recovery plan, well, it boils down to two kind of nerdy but super important acronyms, RTO and RPO. First up is your RTO, the Recovery Time Objective. That's all about speed. How fast do you absolutely have to be back online? Then you've got your RPO, the Recovery Point Objective, and that's all about your data. How much of it can you realistically afford to lose? And this isn't just theory. Check this out. This is from a real Health Network's disaster recovery plan. You can see right here, they've set some seriously aggressive targets. For something as critical as payroll, it has to be back up within 8 hours, and they can't afford to lose more than 12 hours of data. This stuff is a true business necessity. So look, the bottom line is this. You need a formal, written-down plan that defines these goals for every single critical part of your business. This is definitely not something you want to be trying to figure out in the middle of a crisis. All right, let's imagine this for a second. You've done everything right. You've built this perfect multi-cloud system for failover. You've tested your RTOs and RPOs, and you're feeling pretty good, pretty secure. But what's the one hidden thing that can quietly sneak in and sabotage your entire strategy? Not with a big crash, but with a surprisingly massive bill. Yep, the answer is something called data egress fees. You can basically think of them as a hidden toll you have to pay every single time your data leaves a cloud provider's network. And in a disaster recovery situation, guess what? You're moving a ton of data. And if you think this is just small change, you have got to see this real-world example. A fast-growing startup was absolutely floored when they found out their monthly egress fees had shot up to over $3,500. That was 40% more than what they were paying for all their computers. It became their biggest cloud expense, and they just never saw it coming. And here's the kicker. These costs aren't happening because of mistakes. No, they're triggered by completely normal, responsible things you're supposed to be doing. Things like syncing data for disaster recovery, storing your backups in a different place for safety, or even just delivering images and videos to your users. Every one of these best practices comes with a hidden price tag. Okay, so that sounds pretty bad, right? Complicated, expensive. But don't worry, there is a really smart, modern way to handle all this complexity and to make true resilience something that's actually manageable and affordable. The magic word here is automation. And a key to that automation is a tool like Terraform. It's this whole idea called infrastructure as code, where you basically write down instructions for your entire setup across multiple clouds. It makes everything consistent, repeatable, and way, way less likely to have a human make a mistake. So with this automation superpower, you can basically choose your own adventure when it comes to disaster recovery. Your options range from the most basic, like a simple backup and restore, all the way up to a super resilient multi-site active-active setup, where you have two identical systems running at the same time. And, which one you choose really comes down to a classic trade-off: money versus time. A simple backup and restore is really cheap, but it could take you hours, maybe even days to get back online. On the other end, that active-active setup gives you almost instant recovery, but it comes at a much, much higher cost to run. But at the end of the day, here is the crucial takeaway. Automation is the secret sauce that makes these powerful strategies actually work in the real world. It cuts down on mistakes, it makes recovery way faster, and it makes sure that when a disaster does hit, your backup systems are tested, consistent, and ready to go in a heartbeat. So, as you're building out your plans for the future, the final question you've got to ask yourself isn't just, can we afford to be resilient? It's about being smart. It's about knowing all the costs, the obvious ones and the hidden ones, and asking, is my business paying the right price?